Hi, Paula. So this is Paula. Paula is a metaphysician. She is a cellular release therapist, hypnotherapist, spiritual coach, and she also runs a Lighthouse membership, a community full of wonderful people. So, Paula, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what cellular release and hypnotherapy is for folks that don't know.
So, hypnotherapy is such a broad term of basically communicating with the subconscious mind to create internal change that you and the hypnotherapist mutually agree upon. Cellular release therapy is a modality of hypnosis in which we communicate directly with the subconscious to release and clear traumas, core issues, beliefs, a lot of metaphysical soul stuff, soul wounds at the cellular and soul level.
So, how did you even get into that kind of work? What led you there? What was your calling?
You know, it's probably one of my favorite stories to tell because it was just so significant. So, I had been in corporate America at the time for 14 years, and I knew that I was kind of reaching a midlife awakening and it was time to change gears, do something else. I really wanted to lead a very purpose filled career. So I just started praying, God, where do you want me? And I went to go see a hypnotherapist for weight loss. It had nothing to do with career change, it had nothing to do with this kind of endeavor to change my direction. But in my very first consultation with the hypnotherapist, her name was Deborah Burnt. Her name is now Deborah Burnt Maldonado, whom I love. I knew right away, just chatting with her, this was like a white light moment. This is what I'm supposed to do. She was such an example and such an inspiration. And she too had come from corporate America. So it was just this crazy moment of awakening. And I hadn't even done one hypnosis session yet.
Mhm.
But from that moment, there was this wild snowball effect. The schooling was starting in like 3 months. I had this crazy bonus check that came in that paid for my tuition in full. I had free office space for 2 years. I mean, there's just this really cool series of synchronicities that I knew this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to be going. And 17 years later, here I am.
Well, did you, during that time period, what were the biggest challenges that you faced when you were starting this new business or stepping into alignment with that calling, and how did you navigate them?
Oh, a lot of it initially was time. Like I was working full time. I had more than one job. I was in corporate America as a senior manager and I needed to manage my career. I was a single mother with two teenage girls at home 24/7. I'm going to school every single weekend to learn hypnotherapy and metaphysics. And it was a lot of it was time.
Yeah.
And once I actually made the transition, the bigger challenge at first was just kind of trusting the process,
Mm.
right? I I had this really cushy corporate career. Great benefits, great security, paid time off. And now I'm a business owner who's responsible for all of my income. But the thing that navigated that honestly was just I was in love with this work. I was in love with this new path. So even though I was scared and it was a financial cliff dive of faith, I got to make this work.
Right.
I fell in love with it and it was worth every moment. It was worth every worry. And it turned out so much better than I thought it would have.
Mm.
It's turned out to be such a beautiful career. So, it had a lot of challenges in the beginning, but the undercurrent of this is what I'm meant to do kind of navigated all of that for me, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So it feels like you followed a calling that kind of got you to step into alignment with a different version of yourself. So when I use that term, stepping into alignment or stepping into alignment with your highest self, what does that mean to you personally?
You know, it is something that is always inherent to every soul. We all have an alignment with our higher self, and it's more of an awakening. When we awaken to the knowing of who am I really? What am I really supposed to do here? it is, it almost naturally aligns. And it doesn't mean that we don't kind of flow in and out. So we have free will, right? I can choose to worry and stress and work too hard, or I can choose to flow and trust the divine and trust the process. And I will fluctuate between the two,
Right.
you know? So when I'm aligned, I know it. When I'm not, sometimes I know it.
There's like a feeling of discord within, or just something that doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, I think discord's an excellent word, but it's also one of those things where I just feel restless.
Yeah.
Feel like something is kind of off. And I have grown to be able to truly discern the difference between the two.
Mhm.
So when I'm aligned, I know. When I'm not, I know. And I know what to do to get back into alignment. I do my quiet time. I am really quick to open a channel of divine energy to kind of, okay, let's find it. Let's get into gear.
Mhm.
I can do it very quickly now, whereas in the beginning it took a lot more effort and awareness. But with practice, you really attune to where am I?
You actually answered my next question, and maybe if there's a little bit more you could delve into on that. My question would have been, do you have any daily practices or rituals that help you stay more connected to your highest self and to your purpose? Or is there any advice that you would give other people for practices that they could do that would help them with that?
Absolutely. You've heard me say this many, many times, and anybody who's ever worked with me or that I love or who will listen to me, I will say that to them. Develop a daily ritual of inner quiet time.
Mhm.
And for some people, that's just breath work. They just get quiet and get still, which is valuable. But my encouragement with that is to incorporate divinity in that quiet time. My particular ritual is I find some recording of frequency music. Sometimes it's subliminal messaging. I'm a big YouTube fan, but I love frequency music of 500 hertz or higher. 500 is the frequency of love. So love or above on frequency. And I love to listen to frequency music. I go into Insight Timer. I set my timer for 22 minutes. And then I go through the PRAY ritual for me, which is praise, thank you for what I have. R is repent or resentment. You can kind of play with that word. And I basically ask the divine to help me align with forgiveness, whether it's myself or others. A is ask. And this is please help me be of high service today with my clients, my family, my life. Please bless the people that I love. And then Y, which I feel is the most important of those four, is yield. And that is kind of moving into a state of surrender. And that's really a very powerful for moment for me every day when I do that. I breathe in the light of the divine and I truly do align my energy body with divine energy, my free will with divine will as one. And once I've kind of accomplished all four of those intentions and intentional communication with the divine,
Yeah.
I just get still and I just allow all of that energy to kind of just flow into my cells and to resonate. And I meditate. So it's a prayer and meditation practice for me.
I love that. I do find that when I'm taking time out of my day to do intentional quiet time or intentional meditation, I'm able to be more myself throughout that day, like a more grounded, guided version of myself, which I think it is a beautiful practice to do. So if someone were to describe the impact that the work that you're doing has on them, or being a member of the lighthouse, what would you want them to say?
Oh boy. The short summary is that they trust life more, that they feel safer in their existence, in
Yeah.
their body, in their mind, in their spirit, in the world. Um, I I hear a lot. The most common word I hear from hypnotherapy and from cellular release is I feel lighter. Like they're
Hmm.
really unloading a lot of baggage. So they definitely feel lighter. And I'm a client of this work, so I know that and relate to that. But for the most part, I want people to feel more stable in the everyday. I want them to trust the moments and the process and to be present in the moment, not worried about what could happen again if they've got a lot of history or what might go wrong in the future or what they might not do right, but to really just kind of get present here, which does really create a deeper sense of just trust and groundedness and kind of security and stability in life.
Yeah,
So I want
because
people to trust life more.
I agree. I think that's such a beautiful thing to want to hear and that you get to hear from your clients. So tell me a little bit more on the work that you're doing with Lighthouse. What type of community is it? What do you offer
Oh gosh.
in that space like?
So the Lighthouse is my membership, and it's probably one of my greatest loves right now. We have events where we gather every month, and I do 2 group hypnotherapy sessions a month with members. That's included in their membership. I do live readings and soul coaching for members. They're invited to a couple of my public groups as well. I do one for conscious minded entrepreneurs, and then a live reading as a partner with Awkwardly Zen.
Mhm.
You've attended a couple of those. Those are really fun, just live readings. The membership portal has it has all of my guided meditations that I've created. I started creating the cellular release sessions. Those are exclusive to members in the Lighthouse, so they can listen to a cellular release session
Mhm.
and do their own private session through a recording. There's courses in there. I've got a whole series of interviews that I've done with, like-minded souls. And so there's a lot in the portal for members. And most of all, it's just kind of become a really cool connected community.
I
Uh,
love that
we've
community.
gotten to know each other and love each other and
Yeah.
support each other. So yeah.
It is a really great community, and of course I've been a part of it. And one of my favorite meetings that you guys hold is the conscious entrepreneur one, because I do feel like it really taps into people who are trying to shift focus into more minded business, right? Or intentional business, and creating businesses that positively impact others or make massive changes. So if you wouldn't mind, sharing a little bit what those meetings are about or like what types of people are involved.
Yeah. So the Consciouspreneur Mastermind is about conscious-minded entrepreneurs and conscious-minded professionals. So we have people who, some of them have jobs,
Mhm.
and they still attend the meeting, and kind of what we're aiming for is, how do I apply my consciousness into my professional walk in life? Now, I am a consciouspreneur. My business is consciousness. So everything that I do, from choosing my bookkeeper to
Mhm.
choosing the software I use to choosing the language I use in a healing session, is very conscious. I'm very intentional in aligning all of that divinely. So when we do that meeting, myself, Ari Honeyford from Awkwardly Zen, and Valerie Lewis from Awkwardly Zen, we invite people in to present their challenges or to present their questions about their professional life, whether they own a business or they have a job. And we basically offer them practical suggestions and a lot of intuitive guidance. So we all 3 channel, and we all 3 are very intuitive and psychic. So we're going to offer some information about what our guides or their guides might be putting out there to help them grow professionally.
Well, and all three of you, I mean, have done that for yourselves. So you're also speaking from such a place of experience and building a business from the ground up yourselves. So I really, truly do think that is such a beautiful and special space because I haven't heard of anything like that before. So it's
Yeah.
very cool.
We get that a lot. It's a really cool group, and there's a lot of people who join us for that particular reason.
Mhm.
I come with a really powerful corporate background of 16 years. Ari comes with a very professional background in the nonprofit sector and in sales. Valerie has a really cool message of what it means to grow in a metaphysical career
Mhm.
with a lot of different tendrils. So, yeah, we bring a lot of balanced insight to that circle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in that same vein, What advice would you give someone who feels stuck or unsure about how to step into alignment with their calling, or even just start experimenting with who is it that I want to be, or what is it that I want to do?
You've heard it before, daily quiet time.
Yeah.
Get in there every day and connect with your inner wisdom. Connect with your higher self, connect with spirit, source, God, whatever term is the most comfortable for you, and ask, you know, oh, divine source, where do you want me to be? Can you give me a sign? Can you give me an insight? Because when we start doing that, especially daily, you begin a practice of getting to know your inner world,
Mm.
getting to know your inner wisdom, which is so wise and is so connected. And sometimes we have a lot of self doubt or imposter syndrome that affects us. And if we do, then we can get in our own way. But if we align divinely, that gets a lot quieter. The divine wants us to be happy, wise, fulfilled, rewarded, prosperous, comfortable. I mean, I really believe that. So, but it takes time to get to know our divinity and really begin to practice that on a daily basis so that we know when it's a download and we know when it's an intuitive insight or divine message or sign. Because otherwise, we discount a lot of things as coincidence.
Well, and a lot of people don't start in that space, like in the space of trust and that
Right.
the universe actually wants me to be happy. A lot of
Right.
people don't start there. And I know
No.
from our conversations, you certainly didn't start there, before you started this business. So when you did kind of change that mindset and step into that and start adopting that belief system, how do you feel like it changed your life personally, professionally, spiritually?
I started trusting life more.
Mhm.
There was a lot less fear. There was a lot less worry. And it doesn't mean they don't still come, they do, but it's a lot less. And there is more flow. I mean, I can be in the heart of a situation where I know I'm behind. I know there's stuff I needed to get done, or I dropped the ball on something. And I am far, far less harsh on myself about that. There's far less pressure that I put on myself. And I typically move into a place of being aware, like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to go. The best example of that I have right now is I'm writing my first book,
Mhm.
and I submitted the first manuscript, and the editor came back with the developmental edits and things she wants me to change. And it took me so much longer than I thought to really enhance the book based on her suggestions, which were brilliant. But it took me a lot longer than I thought. And at first, I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed that it's not done yet. Why isn't it done yet? I need to like focus 24/7. I'm just going to stay up till midnight. And then I got really clear, it's not supposed to be done yet. Just stop. And
Right.
that's a download. That's an intuitive knowing. You are exactly where you are supposed to be and you are on time. Stay connected.
And I've watched this journey for you also progress from, you taking one-on-one clients to now you're hosting these, big, massive meditations for groups, for businesses to help people, relax and feel in alignment, clear things that are no longer serving their highest good to now, becoming an author and writing books about this. So it's really exciting to watch the process and watch you trust the process and know personally how many people that you have changed the lives of and impact. So it's just a really beautiful thing to watch, and your advice is always so spot on. So it's a pleasure to know you and talk to you about these things. So I appreciate you sharing your messages with everybody else as well.
Well, thank you so much. And it's been such an honor to work with you because it's so fun to watch you step into this path of coming to light and seeing your own
Mhm.
path of purpose and how fulfilling it's been, and to watch the same scenario that I experienced so I understand it so well, but to see it from this view. I mean, I have a bird's eye view and sometimes a front row seat
Right.
to your path. And I'm like, oh, so much good is coming. This is going to be so cool. You're going to change the world for so many people. So Ditto, sister.
And I feel like there's just so many people like having somebody like that in your corner who can give you that type of support. I mean, is absolutely life changing. So,
Yeah.
being somebody of support or a confidant or somebody that can just give you the space to kind of figure that out is a really nice person to have. Um, so a lot of our goal too with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's always a crazy time out there. So it's just a reminder to remind people that there are good things happening. There are great people doing great stuff, and there's plenty of positives to look at as well. um, well, what's next for you? I know you mentioned the book. Is there anything else that's coming up?
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot more speaking this year, and I'll be holding some retreats later in 2025. So I'm really kind of getting excited about that. I mean, right now the primary focus is to get the book launched.
Mhm.
The first book, it's book one in a series of several, but I want to get the book launched. I want to get out there and start creating more of a space for some of these intimate, in person, very enriching retreats. And then, of course, I'd like to get out there and do a little bit more motivational speaking.
Well, if somebody wanted to find you or work with you or be involved in your different types of groups or retreats, where should they go?
They can go to either paularobins.com or they can go to sunlitpathways.com. In the Sunlit Pathways website shows them all of the different paths that are offered through the Sunlit Pathways business. There's one-on-one sessions, there are the group sessions for hypnotherapy or the membership with the Lighthouse, and then there is the path of all the digital offerings, courses and meditations and interviews and things like that.
Well, great. Well, thank you. I'm excited to see what's upcoming for you. And it was great to talk about this and touch base. And I hope other people do find meaning, fulfillment, and inspiration watching this. So I appreciate you taking your time to do this.
Yeah, I'm really honored that you asked. Thank you so much. You know how much I love you, and I really appreciate all that you're doing in the world.
Likewise. Thank you so much.